This is the Freeheel Life podcast, episode number 86. I'm your host, Josh Madsen, coming at you from the Freeheel Life shop in Salt Lake City, Utah. And we're back for another fantastic week in Telemark land, everybody. So we'll get right into it. Newsroom and notes. We're working through our first batch of the Protector skis, and it's been pretty fun. So for those of you that have emailed us and are involved with the first batch that is sold out, we are working through those. We were adding sidewall this week and profiling the cores. Top sheets arrived. Lots of good stuff happening. It's pretty cool to see that project come together and just working through it, learning a lot, and making sure that we are making a durable, long-lasting, rad pair of skis for y'all. Some of you are on the waiting list and may have not heard from us for a little bit, but hang in there. We just released the next 5 skis, and we're going to kind of do that now that we've sort of got in the mix. We're going to release them a little bit at a time just so we can kind of keep a lead. And we'll just reach out as we get them and they're complete, or we have all the materials in-house. We will be contacting you. So if you're on the list and we've told you you're on the list, you're on the list. We'll reach out as we continue to make them. So yeah, it's been a really cool process, and we appreciate all the love and support we've gotten. A big reason we're doing that, I guess, just to explain too, is as many of you know, in I'm sure it's worldwide, but especially here in the States, sourcing material, there's been a shortage with certain things and cost increases, and we're just trying to kind of take this a step at a time and make sure we do it right, because that's what we are all about. So been pretty cool. Got a couple of the crew coming back to the shop. We're kind of starting to think towards fall. We're going to be blazing through summer, and literally it's like over 100 degrees here. So, but we're here. We're shipping stuff, and we are putting all the strategies together for this coming winter, and we absolutely cannot wait to get that rolling again. And we know it's going to come sooner than later. If you have any questions about when the shop's opening, or you need help with something, you can reach out to customer service at freeheellife.com, and one of us will tackle that and get back to you. Usually takes a couple months when we close to kind of keep it going, just because we're not as staffed as we are in the winter. But we're doing a good job trying to keep it rolling and make sure that we're available to answer questions and whatnot. So thanks for your patience and support, as always. Other than that, not a whole lot to report on. Like I said, it's over 100 degrees here, and it's definitely not winter. But I know we've been talking a bunch of... I hope you guys have enjoyed the guests that I've had on the past couple weeks. For me, it's been great catching up. Tom Carter a few weeks ago, super OG, back in the day, late 70s, 80s, Telemark stuff, and then talking to Ty Dayberry the next week. If you caught that, he's got a new film coming out, Future Freeheel 2. I'm super pumped about that. And there's just a lot of good energy going on. I did a quick trip to Colorado, and the weirdest thing happened. I pulled into Frisco, Colorado last weekend, and I literally step out of my car, and good old CJ Kochia from Telemark, Colorado said, "Madsen." And I turn around and I'm like, whoa, that was crazy. He just happened to turn the corner in his car as I got out of my car, and I got to see the Telemark Colorado man himself, or one of the 3. So the Telemark gods are looking down upon us and making sure we're staying in contact. So, and he was another one. I had a great conversation with him a few weeks back. Hopefully you check that out. They've got a new movie called Why Not? And Dayberry's in that, and a bunch of other people. Point being, there's some good stokage coming your way this fall, and I know I'm pumped, so you should be pumped. All telemarketers should be pumped, and it's good to see some good blood flowing towards the next season. So with that said, I just wanted to kind of pop in, and I thought today I'm just going to roll solo. And I was going through some of the emails that had been sent to me over the winter and realized that all the way back in episode 53, it was kind of around Thanksgiving. I was talking about gratitude and just being thankful for Freeheel Life existing and all the great support I've had over the years. And in that episode, I kind of was talking about where the hell this whole thing came from in the first place, and kind of spoke about the early iteration of freeheellife.com being a webzine, kind of how that all got started. I'm not going to give the whole synopsis, but I will put a link in the profile. But if you want to go back and listen to kind of the beginning of the concept of Freeheel Life and when it started off as a webzine and kind of how that whole thing happened, and kind of got all the way into where I talked about the Unity Tracks logo and what it represents. And so today I'm going to do a little continuation. A bunch of people had said, "Hey, what happened? You kind of got to the point where you said, here's where you got to," and it was kind of at the end of that era, freeheellife.com is a webzine and whatnot. And then I kind of didn't continue the story, and people were kind of curious, like how the retail shop came about. And I thought I'd tell that story today for those that are interested. So if you're looking for a gear podcast, this is not it. You can shut it off. If you're looking for some deep conversation with some of Telemark's finest, this is not the one. But if you want to learn a little bit more about what Freeheel Life is, what the concept is, why it's here, how it got started, that's what I'm going to talk about today. So basically, like I said, where I left off is freeheellife.com. This was probably, I want to say like 2000. Yeah, it must have been around 2008. So I guess to pick up where I left off is the funniest part about the whole thing is I kind of got to that point. I'd been a sponsored athlete for like 7 years. I was just getting into my 30s, and like I'm sitting around. I mean, so basically I've been a ski bum. Let's call it what it is. I was basically a ski bum through my 20s. Okay. So I was figuring out how to get equipment and passes and travel. And at the end of it all, I was like, what the hell am I going to do? And, so I didn't, there wasn't really a pathway out of that, like I had built some amazing relationships, and we had made a movie. I'd been in a bunch of these Telemark movies, and it was amazing. I mean, no regrets. I had a great time, but it kind of got to this point, and I was running freeheellife.com still on top of that as that web magazine. And I kind of got to this point where I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? I obviously have to find something a little more substantial, to continue this beautiful relationship with Telemark skiing in the business sense of it. Obviously, I could always go out and ski, but I wanted to make sure I had, some sort of opportunity to work with. But in all honesty, I didn't know what to do. And so I kind of was like, maybe I'll go back to school. And I enrolled in the Art Institute of Utah when they had one here. And I'm like, I'm going to do video production because that seemed awesome. We made this Telemark movie. I'm like, this is awesome. Even though I didn't shoot a lot of that video, I thought this would be a great creative track for me to take. So, I had already dropped out of school 10 years before that to be a ski bum. And so I get back into school, and I'm like, this is great. This is the path to go. And I get about I don't even know if I got 6 months into it. I got a couple months into it. And this is like I guess it was probably 2009. I might have done some stuff kind of in between that, or maybe I have the dates wrong. Who knows? I can't remember. But it's around probably the summer of 2009, I want to say, or maybe spring. And I just gotten into school, and I'm thinking okay, here we go. Real life here. It's going to happen. And I didn't know there was really, Telemark had started changing then, probably the whole, Telemark's dead thing that we all talk about. I would say that's kind of when it started happening. There wasn't a whole lot going on, there just wasn't a whole lot going on in terms of like businesses pushing telemark. So, for obvious reasons, like the world I was in, it was kind of like, well, what am I going to do with this? So I get into school and lo and behold, I think this is kind of the end of building a telemark business, as it were. And I was cool with that. I'm like, I've done what I can in this realm of being a sponsored athlete / glorified ski bum, and made some media. And I get a phone call out of the blue, and it's Adam Howard from Height of Land Publications, and they publish Backcountry Magazine, and they publish Alpinist. And lo and behold, I find out that they have now purchased Couloir Magazine, and they are going to basically to get market share, right? Because Couloir and Backcountry Magazine were competing at the time, and Backcountry wanted the market share, so they acquired Couloir Magazine from Craig Dostie, who, if you've listened to our podcast, we had Susie Sutphin and Dostie. They had started Telemark Skier in the early 2000s, and it was essentially the title wasn't, I don't think it was operating. There might have been a year in there that Couloir wasn't making Telemark Skier, and so Backcountry Magazine buys Couloir Magazine, and they say, we're going to get rid of the Couloir title, but we are going to resurrect Telemark Skier Magazine. And Adam Howard, or Howie as we call him, he says, hey, I got your number. We would like to bring you on as editor-in-chief of Telemark Skier Magazine. And I'm thinking to myself, what? I'm like, one, I didn't see that coming. Two, I've never edited a magazine or been an editor of anything. So I was like kind of stunned by that. And I'm thinking, okay, this is sort of bizarre. And I just started school again. and I'm like, how am I going to do this? And it was a modest offering because it was basically just to make edit two print magazines. So basically I'm like, all right, yeah, like, he's like, you've done a bunch of stuff in the telemark world. We've seen you in the Powderhorn movies, and you've obviously done your own movie. That's great. This would be great. The culture, and a lot of the people, and this would be a great face for the magazine. And I'm thinking, all right, cool. But it wasn't like a substantial enough offer, as many things are not maybe what you think they are. You hear editor-in-chief of a magazine. I mean, I'm not going to maybe disclose the number, but let's just say I couldn't live on it. So I'm thinking, well, all right, I guess this is the telemark gods again telling me, all right, you've got more work to do, my friend. So here we go. And I take that position. I tell Howie, yeah, he's like, you can work remote. We'll show you the ropes. And, help us line up the content, reformat the magazine, and, we'll kind of go from there. Well, of course, my brain is like a lot of telemark stuff is I'm thinking, oh man, this is a great opportunity. How can I get out and promote Telemark Skier Magazine? Because that was always our gripe, is it was hard to find. You couldn't get it very many places. And I'm like, this is my chance to get on the road and tell people all about it, and go spread the good word of telemark skiing around the country. And I went back to Howie and said, hey, if you can throw a little bit of extra money on this contract, I think I can, I have enough footage from filming. We were going to do a second Lipstick Films in like 2000, kind of that same era, around that year. So I had all this footage that we never made a movie with. And then I had access to a lot of other footage that JT Robinson, my friend, had been shooting with his company Vertical Integration. And so there was all this awesome telemark footage sitting around. So I had the idea to go back to Howie and say, I can make a movie. I can edit a movie, and I can book a 50-city U.S. tour in 90 days. Like basically the length of the tour would be 90 days. But I need you to give me a little extra money so I can buy a projection system and a PA system for sound and a screen. And I said, if you can get me that extra cash, I'm gonna make this the Telemark Skier Magazine film tour, and I'm gonna get on the road and I'm just gonna hit it. I'm gonna drive all over the country. And the way that I can make some additional money to make this work for me is, I can charge admission at the door, I can sell merchandise and whatnot. So that's what happened. Howie agreed to it. And I basically taught myself how to edit a movie and put all this footage into a movie that I called The Freeheel Life. So fall 2009 rolls around. I've booked a 50-city tour that'll happen in 90 days all around the United States. I've got a Subaru Outback that I'm going to tour in. I bought a projection, an old projector from Westminster College here in Salt Lake City. It was like an old classroom projector. And I bought a simple PA system at like Guitar Center or something, and a screen, and I made a movie. And I didn't even make DVDs that year. So it was like I made the movie and I had a couple burned copies, and that was going to be my vehicle to take out my first issue as editor of Telemark Skier Magazine in the fall of 2009. So even at that point, I was like, how do I keep the Freeheel Life name sort of relevant in this new role I had as Telemark Skier Magazine editor? And so that's what I did. I called that first movie The Freeheel Life. And it's kind of chopped up into segments, but you can find it on the YouTube channel if you want to go dig back in and check some of those clips out. So basically what happens, I get on tour. I'm probably going to have to condense this version of the story a little bit. I ended up doing that movie. Howie and the guys liked it a lot. I became editor of the magazine. I basically worked remote for the next 2 years, but I was able to sort of show them the momentum of what was out there, because this is a lot of where my whole belief system and how many pods of telemark skiers existed all over the place, because I'm driving around and people are showing up to these movies. And, this isn't, sometimes I'm renting theaters. A lot of times I'm doing coffee shops. I tried to keep the cost really low. Community centers, coffee shops, bars. I would show movies everywhere. Whatever I could do. I mean, I've shown them in people's living rooms. I showed them one time, shout out to the UC Santa Barbara Ski and Snowboard Club. We actually projected it on the side of an apartment building one night. That was a pretty memorable one. But basically, wherever I could find a place that the overhead wasn't too high, I would show Telemark movies. And then I would take out the magazine, and then I would say, hey, I want to sign you up for a subscription for Telemark Skier Magazine. That's part of why I'm here, and I want you guys to help us grow the magazine. So I get in with those guys loved it. We added a NTN demo tour the following season that I worked for them. My job's getting better and better. I'm able to start, paying the bills better through all these different things that I'm doing, and it kind of becomes a full-time job by 2012. So I've got the demo tour. I did the 3 movies that we did during that time were The Freeheel Life, The Freeheel Life 2, Hippies, Punks, and Misfits, and Loyalty. And it kind of kept getting better and better, and the momentum was great. And Howie and John Howard and Justin Ryer, all the guys that were running High to Land, props to them for giving me an opportunity, listening to my ideas, and frankly, just like letting me take the reins of Telemark Skier Magazine for that period of time. I learned how to make print magazines, work inside of an actual publisher, how to lay out a print magazine, how to work with photo editors, how to design covers, how to work with artists and writers. Amazing experience. I mean, I'm so fortunate that someone said, hey, you have 0 experience, but we know you're going to work hard. And I got to learn so much because of it. So basically, that's kind of the condensed version of that era, movies, print magazines, and and the NTN demo tour. Probably met some of you out there. I know I met a lot of friends and a lot of people during those years. So I get to I'm sorry, it was let's see, it would have been fall 2011. I'm on tour on the Loyalty Tour, which is the last movie I made as editor of the magazine, and I get a call. And basically, long story short, is Height of Land decided they were going to move on from owning Telemark Skier Magazine as a title that they were going to publish. It just wasn't a good fit anymore. And they're like, hey, you want to buy this thing? Kind of the same thing. I'm like, okay. I just built this job for myself, and I'm thinking, all right, this is pretty sweet. And then it was sort of like, hey, we would be willing to sell this to you and let you continue it on, or we're going to kind of just bag it. It wasn't like they were going to go shop it around, at least from my memory. And I thought long and hard about it, and I was like, well, if I'm going to continue the work I'm doing, I think I can do this. Well, I finished up that film tour in January of 2012, Jan 1. I acquired Telemark Skier Magazine, and I bought it with a company I'd set up called Freeheel Life Industries. And essentially, I was like, I'm going to set Freeheel Life Industries up as at that time, it was literally just Telemark Skier Magazine. I mean, this was my opportunity to acquire it, but I kind of wanted to put it under, sort of an umbrella that wasn't an umbrella because I didn't have anything else. But I was like, yeah, that sounds good. So Jan 1, 2012, I take over Telemark Skier Magazine. We tried to continue it for 2 years, basically putting out multiple digital magazines. We used a digital platform called Zinio, so you could still subscribe to it. It was like interactive, and we carried over the subscription base from that. But it was kind of during that time where I realized pretty quick, even though I had done my due diligence prior to acquiring the print magazine, some of the people that said they were going to continue advertising with me if I kept going, it was obvious that wasn't going to continue. And so basically what happened was all of a sudden this is one of those first things that happened sort of in the business realm where I was like, okay, like I'm going to have to do this on my own. I'm not just advertising is just not really, it's not really what's going to hold this thing together. It's not the glue that it once was for print or media of any sort, whether you're making a movie and you have title sponsors or, a print magazine or even a digital media of some sort. I quickly realized advertising was not the way, at least for me. So basically that's what happened. So then we kind of eased out of the digital model, and I'm kind of at the same spot I was again. I'm like, okay, I knew I wanted to hold on to the title of Telemark Skier, but it was going to have to be at a later date in a different format, and we're going to have to figure something out. So in late 2013, I basically took a job as sales and marketing director at a small ski resort in Utah called Bryan Head, and I had a phenomenal opportunity there. Again, take my ski experience, take my business experience I had, the media experience, and I had an amazing experience moving to this small resort, and I got to take over the marketing department and basically run, events, marketing, ad buys, all that stuff. So again, I got to step in. This whole thing of Telemark led me to all these great opportunities. And again, I overly appreciate people giving me an opportunity there, because I was the guy with a lot of experience, but I didn't have a piece of paper saying, this guy is a graduated business school person or something like that from a marketing school in a college, which doesn't matter, but sometimes that can make it hard to get a gig like that. So I had a great time there. While I'm ending my second season down there, it's about 2014, end of season, I think somewhere right in there. I make my first, so I guess to back up, while I was at Bryan Head, when I bought Telemark Skier, I had actually rented a room in what is now the Freeheel Life. I guess I kind of skipped over that part because at the time I was living in my van. And I moved back to Salt Lake, and I'm like trying to figure out what to do with this whole thing. So this is going back to the 2012 acquisition. And I basically rent a room as an office for like $150. And it's one of the rooms up front of what now is the Freeheel Life shop. So it was all the way back in 2012. I kind of had this idea, man, it'd be cool if I could like talk this landlord into letting me have some space to make a retail store. But I was already trying to figure out how to, finish the acquisition of Telemark Skier. I'm transitioning to another job to keep the bills paid. And so basically the whole time I was down doing this sales and marketing job, I've got this building up in Salt Lake, and I just managed to hold on to it. It was lucky. It was kind of a part of Salt Lake, not a lot of, it was an industrial area. So I've got this building, and I'm basically like renting rooms out to all my friends. Like, hey, you need an office, you need an art space. And basically during that time, I managed to get the space sort of secured in the sense of I'm using most of the space and I'm managing the subleases under my lease, and that's kind of how we got the space. So that just kind of clears up how I even got to this building in Salt Lake City. And shout out to my little brother Lauren. That's the only reason I found it, because his band was practicing in one of the rooms. So it was like total happen chance that like I find this building and then I have this kooky idea to like make a retail space, and then I'm like, oh, I can't really pull this off right now. Once I left Bryan Head, I'm like, I had started selling a t-shirt that I made online, and I had started the Instagram account for Telemark Skier long before that. And I was like, hey, this is a cool way I can kind of tell people about what we're doing, and maybe I can sell a couple t-shirts. And so basically by 2014, I've got this idea. I'm like, all right, going into 2014, I'm like, this is it. Like I'm going to give this a go. I leave my resort job, and I'm like, okay, I think this retail space will work. And the original concept has always been to try to make it either products we're making or products in Telemark that are maybe more boutique manufacturers, but where 100% of your money goes back to Telemark. And that was always the idea from the beginning. I quickly realized, and that first, so I open up fall 2014, and we kind of get into it, and we don't even have boots. We had a couple bindings, and we have service, and that was it. It was like I always tell people that first year was like really like a glorified t-shirt shop. And I was kind of using the Telemark Skier social media to sort of say, hey, I opened the shop. And, by that point, I started the Freeheel Life social media. And obviously, as you can tell, I wanted to carry that name on and through the Telemark Skier Magazine era that I was in. And I'm like, this is the perfect name for a shop. And we got a cool logo. I'm going to bring the Unity tracks into this, and that's it. We're going to have Freeheel Life Telemark shop with the Unity tracks logo. And this is what we're going to do, is either try to make stuff. I was like hand sewing patches onto hats and making like leather products and stuff that I had like printed or stamped with the logo, t-shirts, and then whatever service we could offer. Started mounting skis, started tuning skis. And that was it. That was literally the beginning of Freeheel Life, the shop. And obviously, I guess just to tie up the loose end with Telemark Skier, this is the year where I finally brought that back and we relaunched telemarkskier.com with Craig Dostie as the editor-in-chief, and he's been doing a fantastic job on that. So happy ending to that story, but I guess the lesson there is, sometimes you just got to wait for the right time to come back around, and you can do that. So that's kind of it, maybe I don't know. This is kind of, I wanted to make sure I told the story at some point on this podcast of kind of how the shop came to be. And it's grown since then, it was really cool to be able to just have the space to try the ideas. And since 2014, if you've listened to podcasts with Taylor Johnson, he walked into the shop that year. Ashley was working here at the very beginning, helped me get it going. And it was kind of the three of us at first. And Alex LeBlanc became our first ski tech within that second year. And we just kind of started inching our way forward, and as we survived each year, more people told other telemark skiers to come here or buy from us online. And that's literally how this grew, is all of you out there listening have been a part of this amazing business story of, going from literally, like I said, one room in this building to, after year number 6 this year, well, actually going into year number 6 this year, all those rooms that I had rented out in the beginning, finally each of those rooms we had taken back over, and we have an amazing facility now where we have all of the rooms at our disposal, where we've been able to improve our tech room, our shipping facility, and offices for the people working here, an awesome retail space that Taylor's done an amazing job the last few years as he's taken over that of curating the products that we have. And now this year we've added manufacturing in the last piece of this building where we're making the skis. And it's been an incredible journey over 6 years of just this particular iteration of Freeheel Life, to watch it from sleeping in my van out back and using one of the office spaces to walking around and having some inkling of what could become of this if we put some work into it, to seeing it multiply and having more employees and having an amazing, and really probably the most important part of this is the people, the customers, the people, the friendships. These are the things that have continued to stoke that fire that Telemark is alive and well. And if we provide a good service at a good price, people are going to keep coming here. And that's what's been able to help us grow. And I can't emphasize enough how important all of you are out there to this process of making it grow and proving that logo I talked about in that last episode I mentioned, the unity tracks, as we all come together and as we support a common cause, we can actually get a lot done. And that's really been what the vision is of this place, is helping foster a telemark industry by doing our part to build the components of an industry: retail, shipping and fulfillment, now manufacturing, marketing and media. These are all the components that we're trying to accomplish as a business to do our part to show that it can be done. And thank you for believing in us, because without all of you believing in our ideas, this wouldn't work. So I'll leave it at that. And I hope that for those that were interested in listening to this episode, it was a little bit different from a lot of the other ones, but that's the story of the Freeheel Life. And it's got a lot of moving parts to it, but it is a beautiful thing. And it is it's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling to see what we've been able to accomplish because of the belief on both our side and your side to keep growing this business. And I can't wait to see what we're able to do in the future. So thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. And hopefully this is just a good little historical piece that if someone ever has to go dig and find out what the hell I was thinking back in the day and how it all happened, that's my story. And I'm sticking to it. I hope you guys are all having a great week out there. I'll be back next week with more Telemark news and all that good stuff. And we're going to keep these podcasts rolling every Monday. So I hope you've subscribed wherever you listen to podcasts and you're checking them out every week. And hopefully you're getting something positive out of them. And we're getting closer to winter. So it's going to be fun to start talking about the season and some of the upcoming gear and other things that we have going on. So until then, you can sign up for the mailing list down in the notes. You can find a link to that. We've been sending those out every couple weeks. You can always shop at freeheellife.com. We've got some cool new t-shirts that have come out, some lifestyle stuff. And there's still some gear at some great prices there, kind of lingering from last year. So if you're looking for something and we have it, get on it before it's all gone. You can check out articles, culture, news, and you can subscribe on telemarkskier.com and become a supporter there, because that, again, is who is driving that product. And telemarkskier.com survives off the people that are subscribing to it. So we appreciate every subscription that's come in so far. We just put up a new updated links review for the upcoming season with video and a full breakdown of all the details. And we've got some other gear stuff coming up soon, along with plenty of news pieces that are for free on there. If you so desire to catch up on what's going in the world, in the Telemark world during the summer months in the Northern Hemisphere. Other than that, thanks for listening. You can always email me at podcast@freeheellife.com, or you can hit up the team at customerservice@freeheellife.com. And until next week, my friends, spread Telemark always. See you later.